Tens of thousands of Serbians gathered in the country's second largest city, Novi Sad, to commemorate the victims of canopy collapse, which killed 16 people exactly 1 year ago. The tragedy prompted mass student-led protests against corruption, with demonstrators demanding snap elections. And to talk about the first anniversary of Novi Sad catastrophe, we're joined by Ivana Stradner, research fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Good evening.
Good evening. Always good to be a guest at your show.
Likewise. So it seems that the hell has in fact frozen over. President Alexander Vucic has apologized protesters for using harsh language against them. What is Alexander Vucic trying to achieve by doing that?
So Alexander Vucic is truly in a big trouble because he hoped that protests would end soon after 2024, November the 1st, and students are still massively protesting. Now he is, even trying to appease the part of the student body and the rest of the Serbian population, trying to find a mutual language so he can save himself, because he sees that students are not going to stop protesting anytime soon. As a matter of fact, today they are marking 1 year anniversary when a canopy collapsed and killed 16 people. And those young people have decided to fight for their values and not to stop. As a matter of fact, today they announced that protests are going to continue. And when you compare this with a few more things that are happening right now in Serbia, with economy that is absolutely going downhill, with the latest U.S. sanctions on a Russian Gazprom, that a subsidiary NIS in Serbia, that is going to impact massively economy and energy sector. And also the latest harsh criticism coming from the EU, Vucic knows that he's in a big trouble in the coming months.
So the protests will continue. Today's commemorations were very calm, with 16-minute silence for the victims of the catastrophe. Now, do you think that violence, which unfortunately took place some months ago, well, clashes with police, are they gone for good?
I don't think that they're gone for good, because Vucic is now playing a very, very careful game. There were numerous accusations of Serbia even using like a sound weapon. He already completely destroyed free media, and there were massive attacks on young people during protests. So right now he's playing a game trying to buy more time. But make no mistake, Serbia is becoming more and more authoritarian, like Belarus 2.0. And Vucic is just waiting for his moment when the EU might actually turn a blind eye to his actions to go after students. So now he's playing a very balancing game, but if he used violence against students in the past, he might do it again.
Right. The protests are, well, they are anti-government, but I'm wondering which political forces in Serbia are trying to exploit the students' movement, because there seems to be very little pro-European slogans, but quite a lot of nationalistic rhetoric during the protests.
So unlike in Georgia, where you have a very clear pro-EU protests against the government, in Serbia, students and the rest of the population are protesting against corruption and the Serbian corruption and the Serbian regime. Unfortunately, in Serbia, for many years, you've had a horrible nationalistic propaganda that unfortunately stirred very, very far-right narratives, something that you see still can see during the protests. Of course, there are also people who are pro-EU during the protests. There are people who share different values, but the protests are not about foreign policy. The protests are specifically for complaining about the Serbian regime. And I'm not surprised, I have to tell you, because as someone who have been following the Serbian politics for a very long time, the nationalistic narratives that are coming directly from the government absolutely makes sense, because just like Putin, as soon as he came to power, he made sure to completely destroy pro-Western opposition and to strengthen the far right so he can position himself in the middle. That's exactly what Serbian president did. He completely destroyed pro-Western opposition, strengthen the far-right groups, and then position himself in the center, telling the West, especially the EU, I might not be perfect, but the opposition is even worse. And it's exactly what the game that he's playing right now. But I'm truly hoping, eventually with the elections in Serbian that there might be, some changes. But it's the question of the EU and how and what they are going to do about Belgrade and its government.
Now, protesters demand the people responsible for the canopy collapse, or at least the people they view as responsible, to face justice. Question here is whether Alexander Vucic is willing to sacrifice some of his own people to stabilize the internal situation. The Prime Minister has already changed, right? But what about people facing charges?
So I don't think in the long run that even though Vucic is a very pragmatic leader, I don't believe, in the long run that he's willing to sacrifice all those people who are truly responsible for this, because he believes that he can control all those narratives. And that's precisely what people are seeing through his games. And that's why students are not willing to give up. They're not falling for his halfway concessions that he is trying to make. Because, as I mentioned, those protests, yes, they're also about the collapse of canopy, but it's also the much bigger question, the question of democracy, because Serbia is not a democratic country, basically, anymore, with horrendous media landscape that is undermined, where human rights are declining. And all those young people, they don't want to leave the country. They want to stay there. But what kind of future they are going to have there with this government?
Having said that, in 2 years, Alexander Vucic will end his second and thus final presidential term, and snap elections seem rather unlikely. So who may climb to power in Serbia in 2027?
Right now, it's too early, to say who will be in power and who is willing, to take over. And that's precisely, this is not only a test for Vucic, this is a big test also for the Serbian society to put its act together. And if they truly want a better democratic values, those values might be, supported from the EU, but they have to come directly from the Serbian population. And hopefully, someone who shares those values will be in power. But as I have to also emphasize one important thing, Vucic has been in power for a long time, and he actually strengthened very, very close ties with both Russia and China. So even if someone wants to be closer to the EU, that person will have to take very, very costly steps that might actually hurt both Russia and China. And that is going to be a question that whether that person is going to be willing to do that. I just hope one thing, which is that after the Milosevic regime, the government that came to power, yes, officially they were pro-democracy, et cetera, and they had an incredible chance to bring Serbia closer to the West, and they failed. So I truly hope whoever comes after Vucic, they will not repeat the same mistake and be another person who will just benefit from the status quo.
For Serbia and for the region's sake, Ivana Stradner, Research Fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, was our guest this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching and stay with us for more news and interviews here on TVP World.